First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Madhulika Samant and Dr. Swain for giving me this wonderful opportunity to participate in this workshop. And it's indeed a fantastic initiative by the NNMA to take it to the regional centers, different parts of the country. They began in Chennai, then they moved to Calcutta, Kolkata, and now to Agartala, and they are planning to go to, I think, in Sharma. And we are very happy that we were part of all the 4 workshops, and we will be able to share our thoughts on this. And actually, my role becomes much easier after Dr. Madhulika actually. She set the foundation and she spoke about how the database is so crucial and how the points which goes in the database has to be more accurate. So my entire talk will be focusing on those aspects. And I have been asked here to speak on documentation of stone artifacts as per NNMA. That is the topic given to me, and I will restrict my entire talk on that. So it will not be any region specific or it will not be any site specific, although I will be taking some clues from different regions, different sites, but that will be applicable more or less to the entire talk, entire region. So, of course, this is a joint presentation with my colleague Dr. Shanti Papu, which was part of the previous 2 occasions, and now I have got the opportunity to share my thoughts with you. So now, this is what we get, right? Have you all been to field? I'm sure of it. You all must have looked at different stone tools. And in India, if you are working in prehistory, unlike West or Africa, you get this. This is what you have to be happy with it. Not the right side where you have the fossil evidence, we have, but the data is very, very little. So you have to be absolutely content with the lithics. And this is, I never consider this as our drawback. I always consider that this is our strength. I have worked in Africa, I have looked at collections in Europe, but I can assure you our lithic assemblage is much better than any parts of the world. But that comes with a much bigger challenge. And the challenge is the most of the data in prehistory, what you are going to retrieve, has to come from the lithics. So you will need to get into the details of this analysis, right? So today I am not going to talk anything about the research question what can answer with the help of the lithics. That is a separate talk, that's what we all do. But here, how this stone tool is going to help in the creation of a database, what she spoke about it, how accurate it can be done, and ultimately the heritage management of the entire country. Okay? So, here I have listed some of the things why one should study stone tool, right? That can give you a whole lot of range, what you can understand just by looking at the stone tool. If anything, if I have missed, you all can add to that. But the point what I am trying to make here is the stone tool has worth of information. It can talk about the technology, subsistence, style, aesthetics, socialization, even language, individual skills, teaching, learning experience, demography, and ultimately the evolution of behavior and how we became human. So that is the essence of the entire stone tool study. You can add some of this, some of the more things if you think you can add it, but that will definitely can get answered with the stone tool, right? So now let's come to the topic straight. So this is the NNMA form which all of us has filled at some point of time, because now it's mandatory. When you are going for exploration, when you are going for excavation, we need to fill up these forms, right? So in these forms there are, I think, 21 categories, what madam was talking just now about it, and this has to be as accurate as we can. We cannot say that everything is very, very accurate, and what we do is absolutely correct. Nobody can say that. It has to be verified, it has to be discussed, it has to be improved through time. So there are lots and lots of issues are there which needs to be dealt with. So some of the parameters are fairly simple. As you can see here, the chances of the mistake is very less in that, but there are things which is really sometimes can be very tricky, like identification of a raw material. What material is made of? Something which is very, very can be very tricky. The provenance, the dynasty style, especially when we are looking at the stone tool, the measurement, that is also can be very, very tricky. We'll take up one issue after another and see how close and how accurate we can deal with this. So this is again. So now there is a quick quiz for all of you. I have put 6 images here. You all take some 5, 10 seconds, 20 seconds and let me know that what do you think that which are the artifacts and which is not the artifact, which is natural. So look at the, it has to be there, it is there in our mind also. It's not like that we do analysis on day-to-day basis, but whenever we have to look at the assemblage, so we always have confusion. So nobody can say for sure that whether it's a natural piece or this unless you do the analysis in great detail. Pardon? Okay, so just have a look at this and try to formulate your thoughts. So you will see that in some cases, like number 4, most of the people will agree that this is an artifact, right? There will be some opinion about number 3. There could be some opinion about, very little opinion about number 5. There could be opinion about, difference of opinion about number 1. But the point which I am trying to make here is, so there is always an issue with the identification of the stone tool, whether the basic thing, whether it's a natural piece or it's a man-made, right? So the which artifacts an NMA wants to document, this is not in our hand. We, as a researcher, I would like to document everything, whatever comes out from exploration, from excavation, right from natural piece till debitage, the core, the finished products, the all possible hand access, clippers, everything. As a researcher, I would like to have data on that. But I think NMA has different mandate. They usually go with the retouched pieces, retouched flakes, and the finished tool. So that's the mandate through the NMA. So we have to submit those antiquity in the NMA form. But for our research sake, for our own understanding, we need to look at the entire assembly. So now let us look at some of the issues. How do we identify artifacts with the vis-a-vis the natural class? So when we look at any artifacts, we look at for certain clues in the artifact. And this phenomena, what we are seeing, what we call is a point of percussion here. So the point of percussion here, this is the striking platform and this is the bulb. And here somebody has given a blow, this particular piece has come out and then it has been made further into a tool or whatever it has been used for. So identification marks you can always get from these technological aspects, which we will talk little later. Or sometimes you have, when you hit a stone, you do get the ripple marks. You can see here, it originates here and percolates down the entire. Sometimes it may not be visible in all the artifacts in all the flakes, especially if the flake is very coarse grained in sandstone and all that. It's very difficult to see this. But this is another good parameters to consider whether it's a man-made or it's a natural piece. Or pieces like this, which has, as you can see here, there is a scar. Video is not coming. Okay. So you have this, you have all these negative scars. So that tells you a lot about, which is, you can see some pattern in it. It's a typical fluted blade core. All these are experimentally produced, not the archaeological pieces. And then you can see the point of impact. And these features helps you to identify what is an artifact and what is not an artifact. Or sometimes the different kinds of contexts, like in the type of neoliths, it looks like it's a pebble. We don't know, because when you polish, even the flaked excess, it loses all its character and it's become really smooth. So sometimes you need to look at the polish, or when you are looking at the fossil wood, which is a predominance in this part of the country. So you need to have a little bit more different approach to understand this vis-a-vis the natural occurring fossil woods. So what I am going to talk about the entire thing in respect to context, the typology, the technology, the cultural phase, and the state of preservation. If we tackle these couple of points, we will be, most probably will not go wrong. But let's look at one by one. So come to the issue of the context. And we know that India has a very vast, artifacts are found in very vast geomorphological context. I'm not going to go to the detail of any of these sites, but they are on the surface, eroding out of stratified quaternary sediments or on regoliths, or they are finding in the stratified context in a fluvial, colluvial, lacustrine or aeolian deposits. So this will take care of most of our geomorphological context of sites. So like here you have, I think this is Dr. Jamil's excavation, and all this taken from various sources, this part of the country, where they are occurring in different kinds of geomorphological context. Some of the fossil artifacts here, and here this is from our own work. We work in the northern Tamil Nadu and the southern Tamil Nadu. This is a part of the northern Tamil Nadu. Even in the macro regions, you will be able to see lot of variations. In these different colors, what you are seeing, they are the different kinds of sediment, different types of geomorphological context, and in this you have different types of artifacts coming out from there, right? And then we could create a huge amount of database in this northern Tamil Nadu, almost about 200 sites in this region, but starting from Acheulean till the late Paleolithic time period. So the documentation of geomorphological feature is very crucial. So now you go down south, we all have studied a lot about the theory macroliths all the time. So this is the context on which this occurs, and then you have these macroliths these macroliths are found in this aeolian deposits. So this is a totally different kinds of sedimentary context on which your prehistoric sites are being formed. Or the neoliths of Tamil Nadu, that is in a completely different context, different kinds of raw material, and sometimes these are also found in the secondary context. Like here, some of the neoliths you will see, they are finding, you will find them in the little shrines everywhere. So they are in the secondary context. So now, and this is also very valuable. So we need to document these as well. It's a tricky business to document these pieces, but we need to find out what the exact source from where it is coming and it has been placed in that particular shrine. So now you understand that this the documentation of a geomorphological feature is very, very crucial. That's what Madam also spoke about. So you have a lot of tools coming out. How do we document it? How we collect them basically? So there are different ways by which you collect. You can do the random collection. You can or you can take a transect surveys with lots of parameters, lots of nodes, and do the detailed collection. Sometimes to identify some herit feature, we used ground penetrating radar so that you can get the clear-cut idea about the subsurface strata. Or sometimes you try to correlate, try to take a small scraping, and then try to look at the geomorphology of the whole, even for the exploration. And then we need to look at the sampling. When we go in the field, we don't collect everything, right? Or sometimes we collect something. So that sampling strategy is something totally different. It's very important. So what we do, sometimes you put a grid and you decide that which grid to sample, alternate or all the grids. And once that is done, you can document like site name, geocoordinates, location details, ownership, a whole lot of parameters you can take, and this will definitely help us to fill up our form. So that's a very, very crucial thing. Sometimes we collect every single piece, we take the XY coordinates so that we can, later we can play around with data, look at the spatial patterns, what is happening at that point of time. Or when it is in a excavation context, it is easy. But it comes with lot of challenges. So firstly, the data recovery has to be absolutely meticulously done. There's you can see here every bit of sediments has been sieved, and any artifacts which is more than 10 millimeter has been recovered. So and then another the excavation, one of our excavation in progress, and you can see here this artifacts in layer 1, layer 2, and this boundary, and below that layer 3. And whole the distribution of artifacts changes with the stratigraphy here. So, and some sites like Adrambakkam, which is really very deeply stratified, you can see here, you can do a lot about it. You can date the sediment, you can take the paleomagnetic samples, you can use the cosmogenic beryllium dating to date the sites, because that's dating is another very crucial thing which we lack in Indian context. So if you have some sites like this deeply buried, and then you can do that. But nowadays it is in Delhi, in IUSC, they have come up with another very good machine where you can date even the shallow sites. You can actually date the stone tool. That is called the aluminum beryllium ratio. Earlier this was done for the deeply stratified site. We have used that Adrambakkam to get the age estimate of this, and coupled with paleomagnetic, these sites are about 1.5 million year back. So, if you have any stratified sites, we can use the sediments for the dating purpose. That is very, very crucial. So now you have come back to the lithics. So sometimes you have to look at the concentration of this, because this is found in a different sedimentary context. So these are the lots and lots of cobbles and pebbles and the artifacts. Here you can see the red ones are the artifacts, the green ones are the natural clast, and we need to look at the association of this all the time. So what we are going to do with this? So you have this kind of assemblages, right? This is the close-up of the same thing. So what do you do with this? Do you study only one type of artifact and leave the rest? Will that be a good thing to do? I don't think so, because this will give you a biased assemblage structure. Or you have something, you study the whole thing. I think that's the latter part should be much better. That gives you the better understanding of the sites, and not only better understanding, In India at least, you have certain types which continues in different periods. So like hand axes continues through Acheulean, through Middle Paleolithic. So if you just look at the hand axe, you can't say that this is Acheulean. Because it continues in middle as well, right? So unless we look at the entire gamut, we will not be able to fill up that form where we have to say whether it's Acheulean or it's a Middle Paleolithic or it's the cultural time period what we have to give. So the study of the entire assemblage is very, very crucial. So that brings you have a huge assemblage. How do you classify them? So always it's easy to group them. It's not easy, but it's always advisable to group them. Get hold of some of the typological issues with this. So you have different levels of classification. One level is just whether it's artifacts or the natural code. Then broad categorization based on the reduction sequence scheme, whether it's a core or whether it's a flake or it's a finished tool or waste products. And then terminologies for the specific categories of artifacts. Like you have the shaped or retouched artifact tools, like bifaces, hand axes, and cleaver. And sometimes we also classify based on its morphology or other variables, such as these are convex scraper, concave scraper, digital scraper. Whole lot of typologies are being used worldwide, which is very, very common. So, but we personally feel that just basis on the typology, we should not always do the cultural characterization. So that brings us the issue of the technology. And this I feel in India at least is lacking. The technological studies of lithic artifacts is tremendously lacking in India. Be it any of the institution, any of the literature you survey, most probably you will be getting about, we have found 100 hand axes, 20 cleavers, 30 scrapers. They are good. You have to begin from there. But technology tells you much more than what can typology tell you. I'm not saying one is, we should ignore about it, but always there has to be balance, there needs to be complementary, supplementary to each other. So now let us look at some of the issues in technological studies. You can see here in India we have right from Acheulean, types of hand axes, cleavers, then you have Middle Paleolithic, Levallois, hand axe continues, then there are changes, then the blades, Upper Paleolithic, Mesolithic and the Neolithic artifacts. So if you understand how this is being made and in what time period it has been made coupled with your context, you will be able to do the cultural characterization much better, much accurately rather than just by looking at the technological aspect. So this we can do only when we understand the lithics better. So the life cycle of a stone tool is very, very important. We need to understand how this is made, how we have used it, how that has got discarded, when this has got in the archaeological record, and prehistorian like us, we unearth them, and what we do with them actually. We take a lot of measurements. We are very fond of taking measurements, all of us. There are theses written on the measurements. This measurement, that measurement. So we take a lot of measurements, then we replicate it, and again try to understand, get into the mind of the prehistoric maker. So to do that, what I said, you have to study the assemblage in great detail. You decode each piece, each scars, and understand what are these debitage which comes from these pieces, making of these pieces, waste products, there are breakage pattern, a whole lot of things you can understand by doing the replication, doing the measurements, whole lot of things you can do, which I think Charuta will talk about when she's talking the database. So to make a stone tool is basically this two scheme always goes on. Whether you are making a biface or you are a old wall, whatever technique, one is the conceptual scheme and then the operating scheme. All the time you are thinking in your mind and accordingly you are manipulating the logs to reach there. So like here, this is the replication of the Atrambakkam hand axes. These are not very pretty actually. If you look at the YouTube videos, you will see people are making much better hand axes. But that was not the aim, because the Atrambakkam Ashurian level of hand axes has different kinds of flaking pattern. So we try to replicate that so that we can understand the you can understand the overall technology better. So over this, I have been talking about many terms like raw material, flake, ores, hammer stones. So this becomes very, very crucial here. And so let's examine the raw material. This is also we need to fill up in the form. So you have different kinds of rocks was used at different point of time, like you have the quartzitic sandstone, you have charts, translation rock, limestones, you have fossil ore. Not in India you don't have this obsidian, but you have the basalt. So we need to understand the properties of these rocks, how these rocks behaves. So I will not go into the detail of anything, but what is important here is the selection of the raw material is the most crucial part of it. If the raw material is not correctly selected, they will not be able to make it. And that's what we see in our study area. Where we are working, it's full of raw material. The entire Alikuli hill ranges provide the raw material. But not all the raw material was used. Hominins were smart enough to understand the properties of the raw material, and then certain rocks were preferred, certain shapes and sizes were preferred to choose them. We are doing now provenance study with the XRF and the other scientific method to pin down the exact sources of the raw material. But whatever it is, you have to have a correct shape and size, it has to be homogeneous, it has to be elastic, and many more properties. And other very important thing, the rock has to have the conchoidal fracture. If it has the cleavage, it will not break the manner you want to break it. So if the rock has a conchoidal fracture, then it will fracture the way you want it, and that is very, very crucial aspect. And of course, the angle of flaking, you can see here, he is trying to open up this cobble, but poor guy is not being able to even chip the rock. So can you tell me what is happening here? Why is not being able to do this? The angle of the percussion is not correct. So, but if everything goes well, your force is correct, the angle is correct, you can get out a piece within a blow. And then this will have all the properties what you are looking at. This will have the bulb of percussion, this will have the stacking platform, this will have the secondary modification if it has been made into a hand axis or cleaver. So all this will help you to identify, to document your the NNMA form much better. And then there are different techniques to make the stone tools. I won't go into the detail, but if you have made the stone tool with this different technique, direct percussion, indirect percussion, or soft hammer, the hard hammer, all these things all the time you will be studying in the literature, you can identify those features in the flake as well. So there are markers which suggest you that this particular piece was made with the help of a punch, or with the help of a direct percussion hard hammer techniques, or with the soft hammer. So that is possible. I will skip this slide because I have already shown you. So now let's look at some of these videos, which is the replicated video. Like one is bipolar mapping techniques. In this case, you have it's basically to split the cobble into two parts, basically to open up the cobble, right? So here you can see it, you place it, and then again you give a blow, and then it opens up. And this kind of technique is time transgressive. It's not like that it's specific to one time period. You will see the evidence of bipolar technique right from Ulduan till recent times in the Mesolithic time period. And the flake which will get produced with this, the splitting will have different kind of signature. And if you are able to understand that those signatures in the archaeological record, while you are documenting, you will never document this piece as a natural piece. It is a piece which has undergone through many modification. Same is the case with the biface. It becomes, or a making of a hand axe, it becomes very crucial in the sense that it is again, you have a piece of rock, you flake on the both sides, that's why it is called the bifaces. And so this is how you make the hand axe. And then when you look at your Neolithic assemblage, before the polish, you will see that is also being bifacially flaked. And if you understand this technique of making a hand axe, of Acheulean hand axe, that is little bit different than what you are making with the later periods. So sometimes the sites have been wrongly identified, wrongly marked, if this technology was not understood correctly. So like here, you can see this. After it takes about an hour to make a biface, still it's in a, it has got the shape, and the entire flaking pattern is totally different than what you are getting in the Neolithic axe when we are building. The debitage which comes out, that's also very crucial to study, and that is totally different what will come out at this Neolithic manufacturing. So after considerable reduction, you can see that the shape has settled. You can look at the scar pattern, which is little different than the other thing. So, and then you can refine it if you wish to do that. So it is important to understand the techniques. Or you have a very specialized techniques of level bow flakes, which is again very specialized, and it requires a lot of practice, and that gives you a different kind of feature. I won't go, it's a long video, it's a 2 minutes video, but let's skip this. And then you have the introduction of the blades, what she spoke about. When the blade starts coming. So is it when blade goes back about 500,000? So do the 500,000 blades are as similar to this, or these are the upper Paleolithic blades? So if you understand the technique of making the blades, you will definitely be able to